right, we're back again with another episode of Roofer Reflections, and I'm really happy to have Amber here. Amber, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been around the trades, or the roofing trades, for a very long time.
I have. I have been in the trade for 17 years now, but I was born and raised in the roofing industry. So my father and grandfather owned Fortune Roofing while we were growing up, and they went out of business in the 80s, and then he started working for a commercial roofing contractor in the early 90s.
I mean, walk me through your childhood. What was it like? Any stories?
I grew up hearing the lingo of the roofing terminology, if you will, pretty much my whole life, the construction talk and driving past buildings and looking at the copings and roofing and things like that, and always making comments. And as a kid, you're like, do I have to hear this again? And it's just one of those things. It's like, okay, you never think that you're actually going to be working in the trade. And in 2006, my business partner, who happens to be my father, started working for SQI, like I said, in the early 90s, and they were having some issues with their personnel here. So he asked me in 2006 if I wanted to come on and be an office admin. And so I kind of started just being, answering the phones, getting the documentation ready for commercial roofing, the certificates of insurance, submittals, contracts, things of that nature, and kind of just worked my way up. I don't like to just stay stagnant. So if I didn't have something to do, I was always looking for something else to do.
Was there a learning curve?
There was. Hearing the lingo is one thing until you start putting the lingo to action, is what I'll call it. So when you start looking at the documentation and being like, oh, okay, that's what that is, or this is what this does, because the lingo doesn't really mean anything because you don't really know what it is. As an admin, I learned kind of the parts and pieces, putting the submittals together and things like that. Oh, okay, this is this, and building it, and this is what's part of the roofing systems. And then as I was estimating, I learned more, obviously, because I was diving into the specifications and just, kind of building on the knowledge. And after estimating, I've been a project engineer, project manager. And when I started doing project management, when I got into the field, is when it became real. It wasn't just words on a document anymore. Now that it's action. So I'm a firm believer as teaching practical application and not just showing people, here's the technical data sheet on this. Well, this is how this is how it's done. This is how it's applied. And it's a way to take it to your memory, you actually can touch it, feel it, see it, instead of just looking at a document.
What's a kind of a memorable story or experience that you end up telling people regularly?
Well, being a female in the commercial roofing world, it's a little bit different. In 2015, we were doing a Microsoft project here, and John, my dad, was also there. He was the superintendent. He was the superintendent on the job. I was the project manager. And we had gone up some scaffolding, and he went up first, and then I went up. And at that time, the whole company was on this job because we were waiting for other contracts to land. So we had everybody out there because it was a big project. And when I got to the top of the parapet wall, the whole crew stopped and looked at me and kind of started laughing. I had a decision to make at that point. I either was going to prove to them that I belonged there, or I could have just said, I'm not doing this, and I'm not a quitter. So I proved to them that I belonged there. So that is where I truly started earning my respect within this trade. You're no better than me just because, you're male and you guys are out in the field.
What do you tell them if someone's considering the roofing industry as a career?
So I was born and raised on the trades. So I support the trades 100%. And I always tell them that there's a really good living to be made in the trades when you apply yourself. And there's lots of opportunities within roofing specifically, because that's all I can speak on, because that's all I have. But I support any trade because we need more people in the trades. you can do anything you put your mind to. As long as you have the willingness to learn and the drive to learn, we can teach you anything, you know, that's needed for the job. But you have to have the willingness, drive, and passion to want to better yourself. So, and it's okay to not know the answer. You know, we're not all perfect and we don't know all the answers 100% of the time.